الحمد لله رب العالمين. الحمد لله الذي جعل الحمد مفتاحا لذكره وسببا للمزيد من فضله ودليلا على آلائه ونعمائه، ثم الصلاة والسلام على حبيبه وخير خلقه، حبيب إلهنا وشفيع ذنوبنا والطبيب قلوبنا، العبد المؤيد والرسول المصدد، المصطفى الأمجد المحمود الأحمد، أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد. وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المكرمين، سيما بقية الله في السماوات والأراضين، روحي وأرواحنا وأرواح العالمين له الفداء، واللعن الدائم على أعدائهم أعداء الله من الآن إلى لقاء يوم الدين. Tonight is the third night of the month of Muharram. Tomorrow will be the third of this month, and we are approaching the ultimate sacrifice of this grandson of the Holy Prophet, and one of the most important and significant day in the history of Islam, and a day of revival for the message of the Prophet. And our commemoration, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be in a way that have a way of influence in our own iman and heart, and inshallah is a revival of our iman in this month. And inshallah we will be able to not only love Sayyid al-Shuhada alayhi salam, but also follow him in action in our life. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us to be worthy of the shafa'ah and intercession of Sayyid al-Shuhada alayhi salam, with the salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So in this month and in these nights that inshallah we will be here, I chose the topic of the life after death, Qiyamah, Ma'ad, the return, because ultimately Karbala is about death. It is about the final return and the abode of the master of the martyrs, Sayyid al-Shuhada alayhi salam. For us as a follower of the path of Holy Quran and the path of Ahlul Bayt of the Prophet, if we understand death properly, if we prepare ourselves for this final departure properly, we will be able to have a life and a way of life which is closest to the desired path and the life that Rasulullah and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught us through years of sacrifice of the awliya Allah for all of us. In the last few nights, the first night, I talked about the importance of remembrance of death. And last night we talked about one of the aspects of Day of Judgment and the life after death is a concept of regret and hasra. And I said it's important to learn that important issue of the Day of Judgment. Recite the salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. That's the beauty of life, by the way. We have some of the adults who had a long day and they're falling asleep. And alhamdulillah, we have him, mashallah, for the health and well-being of all of the children of our majlis. Recite another salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Allahumma Muhammad wa ala. So in the second night, last night, we talked about hasra. We said one of the name of Day of Judgment is Day of Regrets. What the connection between Yawm al-Hasra and Karbala is that there are many who regret, they had this great regret of not supporting Sayyid al-Shuhada alayhi salam. For example, we have Ubaidullah ibn Hurra Juhfi, is a man that he met Sayyid al-Shuhada prior to arrival to Karbala. And Imam alayhi salam asked him to join. But he finds some excuses to postpone And he said, I will come, but right now I have some more important and urgent matters to attend to. And we have that after Karbala and after Shahada of Sayyid al-Shahada, he would have said, expressed his regret that why I didn't and accepted the invitation of Sayyid al-Shahada alayhi salam. Tawabin are a group of people, the repenters, that after Ashura in Kufa, they started this movement. And the reason they were saying we have to repent is that why we did not go and support Sayyid al-Shahada alayhi salam when we had the chance. Why we let that happen. The whole movement of Tawabin happened because of that regret. And ultimately mankind, because of the decisions we make, usually that's the reason it's highly recommended to sit down with adults and listen to their stories, to listen to their experience. You know, as much as it's important to talk about, you know, people who are in the same field as you and learn from their experience, it's also important to talk to elders and just listen to their random life stories. Because they lived a life and they made decision in that life. They were as young as we were and we are right now. And most of the time, yes, there's a different time that we live in. But ultimately, the decision they made ultimately is the same kind of decision. The priorities that they had in life become similar. Yes, we have smartphones right now. In the old time, you could have occupied yourself with some other task. That's the reason it's very important to listen. And by the way, if they say listening it's a skill and we have to acquire that skill, is true. When it comes to talking, alhamdulillah, everybody wants to talk. As a speaker, I should be the one knowing that well. When it comes to this one, there's a lot of desire for this. Give us the mic. We want to express our ideas, we want to express our thoughts. We have the solution. But when it comes to listening, unfortunately, the statement is, I already know. I don't need to listen anymore. It's enough. I've heard enough. And we have in our tradition, in Awliya Allah, in Ahlul Bayt, that they encourage listening to maw'idha. Participate in a gathering that all you hear is advice. Because it humbles you. It breaks down the ego. When you force yourself to listen, when you listen to advice, and you pay attention, even if you don't like it at the beginning, like many other activities that is unpleasant at the beginning, it has a long-term effect. And one of the reasons that we have the message of Sayyid al-Shuhada alayhi salam is alive is due to these majalis. That we sit down and we listen to a reciter, to a dhakir, to a speaker talking about a topic without interruption. It gives that sense of humility, tawadu. So I said the regret is, for many people, is unavoidable. It is unavoidable. That people usually make decisions that they regret. But when it comes to Qiyamah as a day of regret, that's one of those regrets that unfortunately we don't have a chance to somehow make up for that. There is no chance, there are no second chances in that time. So this is the topic, hasra, regret. How to avoid regret. Quran talks about that in order to warn us, right? Said, "Inna arsalnaka shahidan wa mubashiran wa nadhira." A prophet of God is a witness, is the one who brought the good news, the glad news, the hope, and he's also a warner for the mankind as well. And one of those warnings is that mankind, you are facing decisions that unfortunately sometimes lead to regret. So watch over the decision you make. Understand the cost of the decisions that you make. Sheikh Mutahari said, the reason I was able to write so many books at a very young age, because by the age of 40, he was able to publish so many different books in different topics, from philosophy to irfan, to even some of them are theology. And by the age of 40, was more than 40. And he said, the reason I was able to do that is because I take advantage of the time that they would consider them holidays. You know, in Hawza, in Islamic seminary, there are times that there's no class anymore. You know, in Muharram, in the first beginning of Muharram, is a tabligh time, so there's no class. You know, weekends are weekends, and then we have Ramadan. Because of tabligh, people go for, you know, preaching and all that. So there are a lot of holidays. And he said, all I did, I took advantage of those time, the holiday. I researched and I wrote. So if somebody who doesn't take advantage of the holiday, 20 years later, 30 years later, more or less, we look back and we see that how much time we lost. You know, that's interesting. When you talk to teenagers, by the way, I do talk to teenagers when in a classroom. I ask them, what is one of the complaints they have? What do you think is the complaint? They're bored. Too much time, nothing to do. Too much time. And the parents, if they are one of those parents who said, okay, no electronic, no game, say, what do you want us to do? And then you talk to adults, you know, married couples, or even sometimes single, those who are busy with work. They said, what is the main complaint you have? Not enough time. I don't have time. You know, there are a lot of great ideas, but I don't have time. This is a situation, not enough time or too much time. The middle path is hard to maintain. So regret happens when we waste free time. So yesterday I said how to avoid regret. Number one, according to Quran, was to stay away from mockery. Quran talks about istihza. Humiliating others is one of the greatest warning in our religion. I said this hadith probably in previous lectures, not in these majalis. The hadith said, imagine one of the most sacred places in the world for Muslims is where? Kaaba, right? Holy Kaaba, the house of God, is one of the most sacred places for Muslims. And the hadith said by Imam alayhi salam, I believe it's Imam Baqir alayhi salam, said, Al-mu'min a'azam hurmatu or hurmatan min al-Kaaba. The honor and the respect of a believer is greater than the holiness of the Kaaba, the hurmat of the Kaaba. It's a very simple hadith, but if you think of that, is if somebody, God forbid, disrespect Kaaba, if they show some form of any form of mockery toward Kaaba, we will be enraged. The Muslim Ummah will be enraged. And the hadith of Imam is that you have to be more outraged if a mu'min's honor and respect is in jeopardy. So mockery and istihza is one of the greatest reasons of regret according to Quran. So staying away from mockery all the time, even the enemy. You don't see one report in the entire story of Ahlul Bayt, especially in Karbala, that one of the companions of Sayyid al-Shuhada alayhi salam, they mocked or they ridiculed the enemies of Sayyid al-Shuhada alayhi salam. You don't see that. But when you read the slogans of Ahlul Bayt, when you read what kind of poetry they recited, is all opposite of that. Even they warned them about that, why they do why they decided to go against the grandson of the Prophet. So that's number one. Avoid mockery, avoid humiliation in order to reduce and eliminate regret. Number two was to break rules, disobey Allah for the sake of family. This is the greatest regret as well. For the sake of others. You know, I'm going to break the rules in order to help my family. I'm not doing it for myself, I'm doing it for my family. We have these people who will regret in the day of judgment because the same people that they sacrificed their religion for will be running away from them. They don't want to deal with them. يَوْمَ يَفِرُّ الْمَرْءُ مِنْ أَخِيهِ. وَصَاحِبَتِهِ وَبَنِيهِ. It's a day that brother will run away from brother, children will run away from parents. Because number one is a day that all the secrets will be exposed. All the hidden dark secrets now has to be known. People run away from each other. Second is that they cannot help each other. Nobody can help anyone. So people regret that, okay, this person that I disobeyed God for, now in this time that I need him or her, they're running away from me. And Allah said, don't sacrifice, don't put yourself in the path of destruction because of your family. Don't forget Allah in the name of the family. That's the cause of regret. We talked about this last night. The third one was Wilaya of Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. Surah Zumar, verse 56 that I talked about last night, that the ayah said, أَن تَقُولَ نَفْسٌ يَا حَسْرَةَ عَلَى مَا فَرَّطْتُ فِي جَنْبِ اللَّهِ. That they said, you know, what a great regret is for me that I neglected when I was by the side of God. I neglected the message of God. In the tafsir of that ayah, the commentary of that ayah, we have this hadith of Imam Ali that I said last night, that Imam alayhi salam said, أَنَا حَسْرَةُ النَّاسِ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ. One of those regrets of Day of Judgment, it's me. Those who neglected me. Especially I said for us that we're blessed to have Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. We have resources such as Nahjul Balagha, Sayfi Sajjadiyya, Makarim al Akhlaq, all these different books, Tawheed al Mufaddal, all these resources, and if God forbid we neglect, we will be regretful. So there are three. I'm going to add two more tonight. So if you stay away from these causes, the roots of it, we will have the least amount of chance to be regretful at the time of death and after death. We will have, inshallah, no hasra. Number 4 is regarding dunya and mal, wealth. And what about wealth? It's ayah 36 of Surah Anfal. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Inna alladhina kafaru. The disbelievers, the deniers, they are yunfiqun. They give some form of, charity. They give, but usually when you do infaq, what is the infaq? What is basically the addition, the condition after infaq? Yunfiquna fi sabilillah. If you give charity for the sake of Allah, in the path of Allah. But in this ayah 36, Allah said, kafaru, they do infaq. So the kuffar also do infaq. The deniers and disbelievers also do charities. But liyasuddu an sabilillah. But the reason they do is to stop people from the path of Allah, to prevent people from reaching the message of Allah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, ثُمَّ تَكُونَ عَلَيْهِمْ حَسْرًا. These people will be regretful. They will have regret. So that's the fourth way to avoid regret. How we use our resources and money is important. Because sometimes if we use the money, we give the money, that the purpose and the ultimate goal that is being achieved by that wealth is to stop people from the path of Allah, there will be regrets. ثُمَّ يُغْلَبُونَ. And then there will be defeat. Means you can't give away all you have. You can't give away and use and spend all of that to stop people from the path of God. The defeat is with you. Because ultimately the truth will prevail. So you will not get to what you want, what you desire. And imagine that's one of the greatest regrets, when you have a plan and a goal and you will not be able to get there. That's also regret. Be aware of dunya and mal, especially. Mal means wealth, properties. Any form of it. Could be money and bank account, and I don't know, properties that you own or cars or whatever. Any form of possession. That's mal, what you own. And the ayah of Quran says one of the greatest hasra is for those that they use the mal for the wrong reason. So this is what a mal of dunya is, by the way, about. And in every step, there's a challenge. Number one is how to earn it, right? Because you can earn it halal or haram. And now that you have it, you can either use it for halal or haram. So all is responsibility. When you own something, it's a responsibility. So it's not just, oh, I'm going to earn it from the halal way, then I can do whatever I want. Because this is one of the greatest reasoning for people. Is my money, I will do whatever I desire to. This is the greatest justification for people to waste their money as well. And as a piece of advice, I advise people, so it's a money you worked hard for, and you spend a lot of money on weddings. A lot of money on weddings, and you end up living in a rental. So use that money for a down payment. Buy a house with it. So it's our money. We will spend it the way we desire. And we end up having and setting up weddings that unfortunately sometimes is not according to the message of Allah, is not according to the path of Allah, is opposite of that. And we invite a couple of hundred people to share that night of sin with us as well. لِيَصُدُّوا عَنْ سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. And the reason is, it was my money. I didn't steal it. So I will spend it the way I want. And Allah said they will regret this decision. And so many of them, they think, okay, we're going to have this wedding because it's one day. It's only one day. I'm not going to marry again. I'm going to keep it a great memory. And I say to people, if that's the reason your wedding, you want to establish it on that one day, and without that one day you have no other memory in that marriage, I pray that inshallah you have some more stronger string to attach to beside that one day. Because if you think lavish wedding will stop, destruction of marriage and collapsing of marriages, as a sheikh I will tell you there's so many fancy weddings that they end up in divorce, unfortunately. There's so many, alhamdulillah, went well, but there's so many that they didn't. So it's not a contingency for a happy marriage. Dunya is that destructive. And Imam Ali alayhi salam, I said it in the first night, warned us about that. The more we fall in love with the mal and with the wealth, it's become an addiction. People have hobbies, right? Some people collect the stamps and some, I don't know, they used to at least. People right now, it's about dunya. Our children are amazed by somebody who makes a lot of money. Our children. I remember when I was a teenager, I never cared about how much this person is making. But right now, our 14 years old, when you invite a speaker and they said, oh, by the way, this speaker is a doctor, or he is making this amount of money, it's just a great compliment. Oh, they make money. No other quality matters as much as money for some. Who we have to blame for that? Sometimes ourselves. I've talked to religious people. At least we talk in the zahir. The facade of it is that they look religious. They come to majalis of Sayyid al-Shahada, they come to masjid regularly. So, I have a son-in-law which is very successful. And I have another son-in-law which he's struggling. Because the one is struggling is not as smart, the other one is smart. So why? We say, oh, that one has a house for himself, they have 2 more extra house, they have a vacation house, and all they define as a religious person for the success of one of their in-laws, one of their son-in-laws, is because of the dunya. He was smart to acquire the dunya. And the other one is being blamed for not being able to provide the same amount. And the comparison happens. Sometimes people say, Sheikh, we have to go deeper than the surface. Our religion has much more depth. We talk about repetitive things. These are basics. We know that. And I say, alhamdulillah, you should be very thankful to Allah that you passed these basic issues. But people are dealing with these issues. And sometimes I'm shocked. When I talk to people about the problems they have, I'm shocked at how basic, when it comes to these literally flaws of character within our own community. It's shocking. And so what we learn from Sayyidina Shuhada alayhi salam, people who came to fight Sayyidina Shuhada, some of them got gold. You know, some of them didn't even get gold. What they got? Dates. The dry fruit. All they got as a way, their payment was dates. And they went. Some of them went for gold, some of them just with the simple dry fruit. A bucket of dates. Those who run the horses over the body of Sayyidina Shuhada alayhi salam. We have in the narrative is that they came to Umar ibn Sa'd and said that نَحْنُ رَزَزْنَا صَدْرَهُ. We were the one who broke his chest. Pay us more. Give us more. You know, consider that we did an extra work for you. This is the mal of the mal's power. Even went further than that, in the history of Islam, we have a group called Waqifiyya. In Islam, Waqifiyya were the one who stopped at the Imam Kadhim alayhi salam. They didn't accept the imamah of Imam Ali ibn Musa Rida alayhi salam. Why do you think Waqifiyya started over dunya and mal? By who? Representative of the Imam Kadhim, Ali ibn Abi Hamza Bata'ini. He's the one who's responsible to handle the Baytul Mal. When Imam alayhi salam was in prison, he was the one people knew and they went to. And unfortunately, he got corrupted. And after the Shahada of Imam Kadhim alayhi salam, he should have transferred all the Baytul Mal to the next Imam. But because that he wanted the Mal, he wanted that whatever he was with him, he said there is no Imam. Imam Kadhim was the last Imam. Musa ibn Ja'far was the final Imam. Over dunya, Waqifiyya started. Over this dunya, so many other horrible things were started. People looking for exceptions, loopholes, shortcuts in order to make more dunya. Why? Because we want to possess, we want to own, and the more you own, it's zahir. I promise you, when you believe in akhirah, you will not earn the respect and the honor right away. When Allah said, وَلِلَّهِ الْعِزَّةُ وَلِرَسُولِهِ وَلِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ, the dignity and the honor is for Allah and the Prophet and the believers, it doesn't mean among the community. It doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean even among the Muslim ummah. It means the dignity before God that God recognizes as dignity is with Him. Because in reality, sometimes you see somebody who's a mu'min and a society is being recognized as somebody who's not smart, and a sinner, a fasiq, is being recognized as a successful person. Where is the izzah? One izzah and dignity is the attention that people give, one izzah is that Allah gives. Because Sayyidina Shuhada in the day of Ashura, 12,000 people were chanting against Sayyidina Shuhada. And we have that when they used to come to what Imam was saying, said, Ya Hussein, wait, we soon will send you to where you deserve to go, hell. And they called themselves Khaylullah, we are the army of God. So that izzah, that was not noticeable on that day. Now when you see millions of people go to Arba'in, you see the izzah. When you see people who gave their hand at the time of Bani Abbas to visit Sayyidina Shuhada, they gave their hand, you see izzah. You see all the advertisement against this majlis. So many propagandas, so many different kind of doubts and skepticism to have these kind of majalis, and you see it still is happening without any organized support, without any kind of unified organization behind it. You see it happening. That's what izzah is. So that's the fourth reason of regret. Those that they spend the resources that they have to stop people from the path of God. Every penny we spend to have a majlis, either we spend a majlis to stop people from the path of Allah or guide them. Our weddings could be either way. Our even funeral programs could be either way. Our birthday gathering could be either way. We spend money, right? Any form of gathering, any form of investment, who we give the money to. What is the cause we are following? Imam Kadhim alayhi salam, one of the people who literally pushed Harun at the time, and the Mu'tasim, the Abbasi Khalifas. One of the people who pushed for the Shahadat of Imam Kadhim alayhi salam, who do you think that person was? Beside the Abbasi Caliph. Imam Kadhim alayhi salam, his brother's son, Ali ibn Ismail. Ismail was the son of Imam Baqir alayhi salam, right? Brother of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. That is, we have that the son of Hazrat Sadiq alayhi salam, which the Ismailis are the one that they say after the Shahada of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, we don't accept Imam Kadhim. But his son, Ali ibn Ismail, is the one who literally went to Abbasi Khalifa and said, my uncle is planning something against you. He was the one literally pushing for the killing of Imam Kadhim alayhi salam. This is the dunya. Be aware of the dunya. Be aware of the mal and the property. Imam Riza alayhi salam said, for mal there are afat. There are harms that when it comes with the possession of the wealth, there are possible side effects. Be aware of the afat. There are diseases with having wealth. So when you collect, there's a possibility that you start dealing with these issues. What are the side effects of the mal? What are the side effects of the wealth? Imam number 1 said, Bukhlun shadid. Extreme stinginess. Sometimes when you start having more money, you become more cheap. The cheaper you become. Why? Because the more you gain, you start competing with the people who have more than you. When you have nothing, you don't have that much. You don't care how much you have or not. But when you start actually making it, you start comparing yourself with people who have more than you. And in order to gain more, you're becoming bakhil. Not every wealthy person is stingy. But one of the possible harms and side effects of wealth could be bukhl. Number 2, Imam Rida alayhi salam said, hirsun shadid. Hirs, the greed. That sometimes with more wealth come more greed. We think that the more dunya we have, the more content we become. That's our assumption. But think of your childhood and think of at this time. When we were more greedy, when we were a child or now. We were happy with basic. They couldn't make us happy with the smallest gift. The older we become, our gifts become more expensive and the level of our happiness decreases. It's very hard to meet the expectation as we grow older. So the more dunya we have, sometimes more greed is unfortunately come with it. Alhaakum at-takathur, right? You just want kathra, you want more. Qina'a and contentment doesn't come from having enough. That's one of the misunderstandings. People think qina'at means when you have enough and you don't need more. The nature of this dunya is that the more you have, you never feel satisfied. Just pay attention, listen. Sometimes in gatherings I notice that usually the one with they have multiple businesses, they have multiple properties, and they are, alhamdulillah, you can call them that their income is in a million. They are the one that have the most amount of complaint about the business. Oh, economy is bad. With the most amount of properties, they complain about the economy. Why? Because they have more in jeopardy, right? If they lose, they lose the most. But the one all they have in their bank account is, let's say, $5,000. If the economy is higher or down, they have 5,000. That's a side effect of the dunya. Greed with it. The third one, Imam Rida alayhi salam said, Tulul amal. Far-fetched wishes. The more money you have, the bigger are the wishes that you have. The longer the wishes that you have. I know people that they had no money, they had a perfect family. The moment they find some money, the first thing they did, they divorced their spouse. You've heard that as a, they said as a humor that somebody won a lottery and they came home, right? And they look at their spouse and said, please, pack the bags. So why? I said, I won the lottery. He said, oh, good. Where are we going? We won the lottery. We're going for a vacation. I said, I'm not going anywhere. You're leaving. This is this perspective. Sometimes the more dunya we have, the mentality is we're going to be happier. I've heard people, give advice to especially to my sisters. Sometimes from the mother, this advice comes. My daughter, find a job, work, and have your own account, because you can't really rely on men. Imagine this piece of advice. The first part, the one that you have your own account, which in Islam is perfectly fine. Sisters can have their own property, it belongs to them, it's not their responsibility, it's not wajib on them to pay. But the last piece, you cannot rely on men. Is that lest you not continue your relationship with the father of your children with distrust. You cannot trust them. And imagine what kind of marriage we lead this kind of relationship to. The moment we implement this mentality, that it's my property or your property, it's separate. We are literally picking up an axe and we are striking hard at the roots of the marriage. Even great partners in business will not be able to survive that way. So that's the third side effects of dunya and mal. Imam Rida alayhi salam said, Tulul amal, far-fetched wishes. The longer I want this and I want that, and the list of wants and desires become longer the more money we have. Number 4, Imam Rida alayhi salam said, Qati'atul rahim. With the mal, with the wealth comes cutting the relation. Sometimes somebody wealthier they become, the less amount of relationship they have. Why is that? Because they think, people come to me because they need money. They only know me when I have problem, when they have problem. Qati'atul rahim. And I've noticed it myself in our communities, how Imam Rida alayhi salam is on point with every piece. I knew people who came and said, Sheikh, please pray, I cannot find a job 10 years ago. And now, alhamdulillah, they found a job and they start climbing the ladder of, success in their own field. And you see, the first thing they do is they start, eliminating their close members, close family members, relatives. They keep one or two, but the rest are gone. And even they say, I love to be alone. I don't need any of these people. I don't need community. That's the nature of mal. Because they want it to preserve it, to protect it. In order to do that, sometimes you have to put aside family. And the last one, the fifth one, Imam Rida alayhi salam said, the harm and the side effect of mal is itharul akhirah lid dunya. Sacrificing akhirah for the sake of this dunya. That's what the mal does. You sell the akhirah in order to keep and protect and grow more of dunya. Examples are numerous of people who sold the akhirah for dunya. Samarat ibn Jundab is a person who fabricated tradition. Fabricated tradition against Imam Ali alayhi salam because he was paid by Muawiyah. One of the tradition he fabricated is that famous ayah, وَمَن يَشْرِي نَفْسَهُ ابْتِغَاءَ مَرْضَاتِ اللَّهِ. The one who literally put his life in line for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which refers to Laylatul Mabid, the night that Imam Ali salam slept instead of the Rasulullah in his bed. He fabricated a hadith that this ayah was revealed about who? Ibn Muljam. He fabricated it. That's one of the harm of dunya. So the regret happens when people use the dunya for this purpose. When they use the dunya to stop others, themselves, of course, now they stop others from the path of Allah. I feel that Amr bil Maruf Nahy Anil Munkar in our communities, we talk so many about it to have the etiquette, the proper way of doing it. But sometimes as a community, unfortunately, we are in a path of regression. We're so in the position of defense that now others do Nahya bil Ma'ruf wal Amr bil Munkar. And if somebody wants to pray, they're being called, oh, stop doing Riyah. Stop doing it in public. Go find a room, do it in private. They didn't say anything. They just wanted to do their prayers. But every other matter is that we don't promote it anymore. We become bystanders that now, unfortunately, the other force is in offense position. They come after us. We don't do anything. Now they come after us. Hijabi girls, I know, elder women tell them, wait. You're too young for hijab. When you get older, you wear hijab. I couldn't believe it the moment I heard it. This is literally Amr bil Munkar. And you don't see it says, oh, great job, hijab suits you very well. MashaAllah. We don't say that anymore. Well, we don't want to be judgmental. We don't want to be judged. What if we say something and they say us something? Now, this mic is not in our hand anymore. Nobody dare to say the right thing sometimes because we don't have the louder voice. Unless, yes, in the middle of Yasin, you say something, alhamdulillah, you have some people, I hope, to support your call. If you're let's say, in a wedding, in a gathering somewhere, if you say something, this is the mal, this is the dunya, that what it did to us. It transformed us. It did before and is doing it right now. If you want to stay from regret, my dear brothers and sisters, understand. Don't strive for dunya. What I meant by that, don't have a goal of dunya in your mind. Don't say, I want to be a millionaire. All the motivational lectures is opposite of that. Have a dream, have a goal in your mind, set it, you want it, you have to get it. Go for it. Our children listen to it. Our youth listen to them. You have to want it. Want it really bad, you will be able to get it. And I'm saying for dunya, don't. Because if the more that you get is not going to have satisfaction at the end, you want more and more and more. You saw that famous videos is, being circulating that a priest is saying, I have 2 jets and with the, God's support and your support, I'm looking for the 3rd one. Imagine if Sheikh Modarres said, I'm looking for my 2nd bicycle, right? Scooter. That's the nature of dunya. You're not going to say, oh, that's enough. Alhamdulillah. And I said, when you say, how are you doing, brother? How are you doing? For example, you do the basic questions. Sometimes say, Alhamdulillah. But from the way they say it, you understand that they have so much to say. And according to the, I don't know, all the articles out there, people are doing better. I don't know, middle class, they're making more money, all these nonsense. But people still complain. And I'm waiting for a day that majority say, Alhamdulillah, everything is good. Sheikh, please, if somebody needs help, let me know. If there is a needy person call you, I'm here. Call me. In 10 years, one person told me that. In 10 years. That if you need help, call me. If somebody, you're somebody in the community, usually people contact you. If somebody needed help, let me know. One person. It's not that majority are bad, God forbid. They do it secretly, they have their own way of helping people. That's the reason they don't tell me. But when it comes to our interaction with people, sometimes it starts impacting us, affecting us. So that's fourth reason of regret. Those who use the money, spend the money to stop people from the path of Allah, they will regret and they will be defeated. Ask yourself what charities you're giving money to. Because since this political climate is the way it is, now we are on the same side with people who have different ideals from us in some cases. I said it was a common enemy or lesser of the evil, whatever justification we have. Understand where you're contributing your money to. Think twice before making a payment. Not every form of charity is a good charity. And the last one I will talk about, the fifth reason of regret is in Surah Furqan. Allah said, وَيَوْمَ يَعَضُّ الظَّالِمُ عَلَى يَدَيْهِ. Day of Judgment is a time that the zalim, the oppressor, will bite on his hand. That's expression of somebody's frustration, anger, regret, that they bite their hand out of anger. And what they said, يَقُولُ يَا لَيْتَنِ اتَّخَذْتُ مَعَ الرَّسُولِ سَبِيلًا. I wish I would have chose the common path with the messenger of God. I would have followed the path that the Rasul and the messenger followed. And he continues saying, يَقُول يَا وَيْلَتَا. Oh, woe upon me, curse upon me. يَا وَيْلَتَا. لَيْتَنِي لَمْ أَتَّخِذْ فُلَانًا خَلِيلًا. I wish I would not choose. I wouldn't choose that person as a fulan, so and so as a friend. So the fifth reason of regret according to this ayah is friendship. That they wish that they wouldn't choose so and so, fulan means fill in the blank, anyone, as a friend, as a khalil, as a companion. لَقَدْ أَضَلَّنِي. Indeed, this companion misguided me after I was guided. بَعْدَ إِذْ جَاءَنِي الذِّكْرُ. After I had the right path, he or she came to my life and misguided me. And the fifth reason of regret, you call it the fifth root of regret according to Quran, is companionship, friends. They literally said, we wish, ya laytani. It's something that they can do because they lived the life, they chose the companions. But I said, if it was something that we could have go back and we could have fixed it, is that we wouldn't choose this specific person or these group of people as companion. Companionship, companionship, companionship. And this is not about children. Please don't think when I say companionship, I'm talking about teenagers. I'm talking about everyone, adults, elders, fathers, leaders of communities, doesn't matter. When I give you the names in history, they're not young people. A lot of them are mature people who changed their direction. Why? Sometimes was dealing with the wrong person, interacting with the wrong crowd. If you like it or not, there's so many studies out there, and you're more than welcome to do it. There's so many social experiments they did because of peer pressure, social conformity. That we say things because we want other people to like us. So many. We blindly follow. You saw that social experiment they did in America, I believe it was in one of the states. They created a fake line. There was nothing going on, there was no shop, nothing, just a line. And they just waited and said, how many people will continue in this line? See, a lot of people joined and the line became much longer. And they asked them, why? Do you know what it is? What are you shopping for? What are you waiting for? So we don't know, but if these amount of people are waiting, it's something good, right? If Yelp give it 1,000 review, it's supposed to be good. That's the way we reason. If there are a lot of people doing it, it must be good. Vaping, you know, I was reading about it today. Vaping, they call it the new epidemic. The e-cigarette used to be issued, right now is the vaping for the teenagers. It become an epidemic. Everybody do it. And this everybody is one of the greatest reasoning against logic, against mantiq, against religion, against common sense, against science. Everybody. Everybody. You know, say about hookah. Said, okay, Islam, if it said halal or haram, right? Put it aside for a second. Is it harmful or not? And everybody say, yes, there are studies it's harmful. Why you do it? Everybody do it. Everybody doing it. It's not haram. I said, I know it's haram. I didn't say don't do it because it's haram. The same way I said, if you, Islam doesn't say it's haram to, for example, have 2 bottles of Coke every day. But you don't do it. I hope so. We're waiting for the haram when there is no clear line. Meat exactly look the same. Zabiyah and non-zabiyah at the surface look the same. We need a fatwa on that, right? Yeah, there are studies that shows halal meat is better. Forget about that. A fatwa, the rule, the ayah says this is halal, the zabiyah is halal, the non-zabiyah is not halal. You need that haram and halal there. But when something is poisonous, why you need a halal or haram clear line to tell you? It's harmful. I'm not saying it, the Sheikh Modarres didn't say it. All the studies, talk to a doctor. Yourself, you study about it. You can read about it yourself. Tell me if it's harmful. Yes, it is. So if you know why I still do it, everybody do it. And sometimes even they get upset. Oh, you tell me to don't do that and don't use that and don't smoke that. What you left? You know, you took away everything. And I feel sad for myself and for them. That why they see all the entertainment in those that we consider not good. All the fun that they can find is there. Is when we say no insult, no backbiting and gossip, no accusation. Say, Sheikh, tell us to don't speak. That's easier. Don't talk about people, truth or lie. Don't do any of this. It's better to tell us to say nothing. And I said, it's sad if that's all you see in discussion and conversation, that's all you talk about. That the salt of our conversation is a sin. Doesn't make it tasty. The moment you take the spices away, the sin away, there's no taste anymore. That's the 5th one. Quran says one of the regrets of Day of Judgment is the selection of companionship, who we choose to be our friend. We need friend. We cannot be alone. Don't expect your children to be good and have no friends. That's the reason it's our responsibility. If there's no community around us, move somewhere that there is a community. Find some form of support for your children, for yourself, for your own wife, for your own husband. You need support. I said we are creatures of uns. We want to interact. We want to feel this sense of belonging. That's natural. That's part of our existence. We cannot be alone. And our tradition is against being alone. Loneliness is not good in our religion. There are times in private you pray to God, but the normal way of life, loneliness should not be part of it. Sleeping at home by yourself is makruh. It's not recommended to sleep at home alone. Rasulullah said, when somebody's one, means when they're by themselves, shaitan is close to them. When they become ithnain, when they become two, shaitan distances himself from them. The more they become, the less. But not that second person is a shaitan himself or herself. Because sometimes we choose, oh, I don't want to be alone, but I end up bringing a shaitan to my companionship. The one who inspired me to do wrong. The one who encouraged me to do wrong and oppose everything that I consider valuable. That will be a regretful decision to make. Be good friends ourselves for others. If you want the same amount we spend time for studying a book, reading supplication and du'as, all that time, if somebody, a friend of you call you and they need you, be a good friend. Because there's a thawab for that. When somebody call you and they want to talk to someone. If you're not the one listening, they will find another person to talk to. And you don't know what the other person will advise them with. Give them priorities. For friendship, we have traditions that a good friend shows himself and herself in the time of difficulty. That's a good friend. And be a good friend in the time of difficulty for others. We cannot be freeloaders that, we want friends for us, but when it comes for us to actually do something for other people, okay, this friend is too clingy, I need somebody who give me some space. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the tawfiq to have companionship of awliya Allah, to have the companionship which ultimately they assist us in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We ask Allah to help us to use the dunya and the wealth that we have and whatever we own and we earn in the path of growth and in the path of obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us with the departure which is easy, a less painful departure of this dunya, which is ultimately with amal al-salih and iman. Let's say as-salam to Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. In the third night, we dedicate the thawab of this majlis. I said every night we cannot remember all of the companions, but the one that we remember, inshallah, will be a way that all of the shuhada of Ashura, all of the shuhada of the qiyam of Sayyid al-Shahada will benefit, inshallah. But tonight, we dedicate the thawab of this majlis to Hurribna Yazid al-Riyahi. But let's, inshallah, start with the salam. Remember all those who requested prayers and dua for them. Remember them. Give the priority to them. Be selfless in the dua. And it increases the chance of our dua to be granted, inshallah. Assalamu alayka ya Aba Abdullah Ya Hussein ibn Ali أيها الشهيد يا ابن رسول الله يا حجة الله على خلقه يا سيدنا ومولانا إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيها عند الله اشفع لنا. One more time. يا وجيها اشفع لنا. We have that. There's some who changed their mind to join Sayyid al-Shuhada alayhi salam few days before Ashura. But Hur is one of those who literally changed his side last minute. But it doesn't take any value, any credit away from Hur, because he's the leader of the army. He's the commander. And we have that when he stopped Sayyid al-Shuhada alayhi salam, Imam alayhi salam prayed for him in a way of a nifreen, a curse. So, ثَكَلَتْكَ أُمُّكَ. I pray that your mother see your death. But he has the adab. He said, I will never say anything to you. You can call me whatever you want, but I know who is your mother. And I will never utter a word against your mother, Fatima Zahra. We have some of the ulama said it's because of that adab, that manners that Hur had. Allah gave him the tawfiq of changing his side. And we had that he was struggling. He was debating with himself, what should I do? Hur, what are you doing? One side, there is no victory. One side, there is no dunya. But in that side, there is Hussein. And that side, there is the truth that you see. We have that he take off his shoes, his boots, place it on his neck, took his sword on his hand, and slowly approached Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam camp. As he's crying, and we have that when he arrived, Sayyid al-Shuhada alayhi salam welcomed him. And he sat down on his knees. And he said, Yabna Rasulullah, I'm Hur, I'm the one who stopped you. I'm the one who caused this tragedy to happen. I know there is no hope for me, but I came here to apologize. I came here to ask Allah to forgive me. I know I did a lot. I know I caused fear in the heart of you and your family. But I have hope in mercy of Allah, and I have hope in your forgiveness. Look at the mercy of Hussein. He didn't let him sit on his knees for long. He helped him. Abu Abdullah got from his hand and helped him to stand up. And this is what Sayyid al-Shuhada said in the narrative, and Maqtal said, indeed your mother chose the right name for you. You have a worthy name, that you're truly Hur. You truly have this free spirit and soul. Ya Abu Abdullah, tonight we came in your majlis, in the morning of your majlis, your program. And we are as regretful as Hur, that we have your love and we have your mawadda. But how much I say about myself that I broke my promise to you to follow you. How many times I made this promise to Allah that I will be different, and I break that promise. That I wouldn't go back to the mistakes that I did and I committed, but my addiction got me back to the same path. Ya Allah, we came here again as ta'ibeen, as repenters. And we have no honor, we have no dignity to ask you to grant us with anything. But we use Hussein alayhi salam as a mediator, as a wasita between us and you. That by Hussein alayhi salam, by awlad al-Hussein, by ashab al-Hussein, Ya Allah, forgive us. And we have that Hussein alayhi salam forgave him that easy. That easy. My dear brothers and sisters, forgive people in Muharram. If somebody apologizes, forgive them. Learn that from Hussein alayhi salam. Don't hold grudges. Imagine what Hur did to Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, and he easily passed by that. And he welcomed him. And when they came and he joined the other companions, you don't see any taunting, you don't see any words, any name calling. It's like that they know Hur all the time, that it's like the Hur was with them from the beginning. But when the day of Ashura is the time of the battle, look at Hussein alayhi salam, like Ibrahim when he brought his own son for the sacrifice. The first people Abu Abdullah Hussein alayhi salam called was his own family. He called Ali al-Akbar, Ali Akbar, prepare yourself for the battle. But the companions of Hussein, as he said, there are no other companions like Hussein's companion. They said, Ya Abu Abdullah, until we're alive and we're breathing, none of the Bani Hashim will go. And we have one of the first people who came was Hurr ibn Yazid al-Riyahi. He came to Abu Abdullah Hussein alayhi salam and said, please give me the permission. And Imam, he used to hesitate. He didn't grant the permission right away, except his own son, Ali al-Akbar. He hesitated with everyone. And he hesitated with Hur, said, wait, it's not the time. And we have the Hur approach again and said, Ya Abu Abdullah, I know that I did wrong, and I know I'm a sinner, and I know that you don't find me to be worthy to go first, but please let me to be first, the one who proves to these enemies that who is the grandson of the Prophet. And we have that eventually Sayyid al-Shahada granted him the permission, and Hur went to the battlefield until the moment he called, Ya Abu Abdullah. And imagine when you call Sayyid al-Shahada alayhi salam, and Hur is the one who's calling and he's waiting for Hussein alayhi salam, and he saw that Imam rushed to the battlefield, pushed the enemy away from the body of Hur, and he held up the head of Hur on his hand, and he cleared the blood from the face of Hur. Ya Abu Abdullah, we wish that in the last moment of our lives we will be worthy enough to have you by our side. On that moment, Sayyid al-Shahada hold the head of Hur and ask his companions to take the body back toward the camp. But la yawm ka yawmika ya Abu Abdullah, there is no musibah like the musibah of Hussein. Because when the body of Hussein fell on the ground, there is no one around Hussein to carry the body of Hussein alayhi salam. The only people there are children and the sister of Hussein watching that moment. وَأَلَا لَعْنَةُ اللَّهِ عَلَى الْقَوْمِ الظَّالِمِينَ وَسَيَعْلَمُ الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا أَيَّ مُنْقَلَبٍ يَنْقَلِبُونَ